Hello, I'm Leasure, and this is the Leasure Sports Podcast. As I kick it off with some NBA news this week. Big trade happened a couple hours ago as I'm recording this. The Cleveland Cavaliers. It's been rumored all summer long that Kyrie Irving wanted out of Cleveland, and he finally got his out. The Cleveland Cavaliers send him to the rival Boston Celtics for Isiah Thomas, the All-Star and the MVP candidate this year. Along with the Nets 2018 first round pick, Jay Crowder and Ante Zizic. Overall, I think it's a great trade for both teams. Kyrie Irving wanted out of Cleveland, and now he's going to be the main star for the Boston Celtics. Meanwhile, they get Isiah Thomas, so that they quickly replace their number two guys. And I guess the big three in Cleveland now will be James, Isiah Thomas, and Kevin Love. So really, I mean, this is probably going to be. This is most likely it's going to be it for him in Cleveland, as it's been reported that he's possibly going to go to one of those LA teams. So we'll see what happens there. But we'll see what happens with LeBron James. This could be it for Cleveland running the East. But who knows? Maybe the Celtics will have enough to get past them. But we'll see. So. Great trade for both teams. Moving on, according to Cleveland.com, they reported that people close to LeBron James expect Dwayne Wade to join the Cavs at some point this season, still under contract with the Chicago Bulls. Overall, I can see it happening. LeBron and Dwayne Wade's great friends. Still great friends even after him leaving Miami for Cleveland a couple years ago. But we'll see. I think it's I could see it happening, and I think it would be a good piece to add for the Cleveland Cavaliers trying to get past the Warriors, but we'll see. Moving on to Major League Baseball news, Diamondbacks, it's been, since my last podcast, they've been struggling a lot. Played the Houston Astros on that home series, or that home-to-road series, split that, got horribly swept by the Minnesota Twins. But they've started off the Mets series as I'm recording this. They just won their second game in a row. Patrick Corbin, his last three starts, he's been lights out. Diamondbacks won a close game. They were able to win in extra innings against the Mets. And I think some people will argue that, the Mets are a horrible team this year. How do you have to beat them in extras? And this game they only won 7-4 after leading 7-1. Win's a win. Good teams are able to beat bad teams, and Diamondbacks were able to do that. The Diamondbacks won tonight with the loss, the Colorado Rockies lost earlier. So as I'm recording this, the Diamondbacks are a half game up on the wild card spot. So that's big news. Big news for them, as the Rockies are right now playing in the middle of a series of playing the Kansas City Royals. So hopefully we'll see what happens. Robbie Ray will be coming back on Thursday. It's going to be his first game back after taking that line drive hit in the head against the St. Louis Cardinals a couple weeks ago. So we'll see what happens there. But I think overall it's a really good move. It's going to be huge for the Diamondbacks to get Robbie Ray. Been one of their all-stars, been their second best pitcher next to Zach Greinke. Not only that, it gets the rotation back. This is the 5-man rotation they want for the rest of the year. They want Greinke, they want Ray, they want Walker, they want Corbin, and then they want Zach Godley. So overall, it's going to help them out from a rotation-wise. Big news coming out this year. Yasmani Tomas has been dealing with that groin injury. He's been trying to recover from it, but it was reported today that he's officially out for the year. And Tomas really just hasn't been cutting it this year. And as a Diamondback, after the big contract they gave him a couple years ago, just really hasn't been cutting it. So I think overall for the Diamondbacks, I think I wouldn't be surprised if they look in the offseason to move his contract somewhere else. I think that's going to be one piece there, as they want to have a shot of potentially re-signing J.D. Martinez, or even going out in the free agent market and looking for a free agent outfielder, even if it's not Martinez. Hopefully it is, but we'll see what happens there. Moving on, MLB standings currently, as I said before, the Diamondbacks are leading the wild card spot by a half game over the Rockies. Brewers have closed the gap a little bit. They're 3.5 games back. St. Louis is currently losing. I have them at 5 games back. They haven't officially lost, but I think they've lost by 8 or losing by 8 runs as I'm recording this. The Padres. Miami's getting back into it a little bit. They're only 6 games back, and Pittsburgh's only 8.5 back. Division leaders right now: the Nationals, the Cubs, and the Dodgers. Right now, the two wild card teams are the Yankees and the Minnesota Twins. However, there's that American League wild card spot. There's still some gap. Angels are only a game back. Kansas City's only a game and a half back. Seattle's only 2 games back. Texas is only 2.5. Tampa Bay's only 4 games back. Baltimore's only 4.5, and Toronto's only 6 games back. The division leaders right now: the Boston is at top of the National League East. Astros still the best team in the American League, and then the Cleveland Indians have surged, and they're leading the Central right now. I'm going to look up currently the divisions right now. Boston, like I said, leading the division, 4.5 games back, or 4.5 over the Yankees. Cleveland, they're up 4.5 over the Twins. Houston, they're up 12 games. That's a landslide. Washington, even without Bryce Harper right now, landslide over the Miami Marlins. The Cubs, they've getting back really, and starting to have that division lead. Brewers only 3 games back, and the St. Louis Cardinals are only 4 games back. Dodgers have that division won, as they're the best team in baseball right now. But we'll see. Speaking of the Dodgers, a lot of news came out today. Clayton Kershaw looked close to coming back from that back injury he suffered a couple weeks ago, so that's going to be big for the Dodgers. Meanwhile, Bellinger and Alex Wood are on the 10-day disabled list with injuries, so we'll see how they do in their absence. But the Dodgers are a loaded team, so figure that with getting Kershaw back, they'll be fine. So moving on to Arizona Cardinal news. Cardinals today activated linebacker Deion Buchanan from the physically unable to perform list, so that's going to be a huge return for the Cardinals. Arians made, after been pretty spoken for who's going to be the backup, Arians announced that Drew Stanton will be the backup quarterback for Carson Palmer this year, so I don't think there was any doubt, but that doesn't necessarily rule out that Stanton won't make the roster. I think Blaine Gabbert, I think he has a really good chance of making the roster. And who knows, with an aging quarterback like Palmer, I think it's smart to have 3 quarterbacks on the roster. But we'll see what happens there. Cardinals-Bears game happened this past Saturday. Cardinals starters played a little bit. Palmer looked okay. Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald really didn't play that much. But overall, defensively, Tyrann Mathieu looked good. Robert Nkemdiche, he's going to have a really good season this year, and I think he will. But overall, I like where this defense is going with I like where it's going with the linebacker movement with Jones, Marcus Golden, the rookie Hassan Reddick. That backfield, you're going to have Budda Baker, you're going to have Tyrann Mathieu, you're going to have Patrick Peterson. I think it's just establishing the next cornerback and the, next safety other than Antoine Bethea. But we'll see what happens there. One of the big retirements happened this season, or this week. Anquan Boldin, after committing to the Buffalo Bills, signed a 1-year deal, and according to their coach, was all in. He decided to retire. I'm not surprised by this. Bolden's an aging receiver, and I think he probably just wanted to see if he had anything left, and I think he feels like he doesn't have anything left. But Bolden had a great career with the Cardinals, despite the way he exited the team. It wasn't on the greatest terms. Had a good run in Baltimore, won the Super Bowl with them, went to the 49ers, had a good year or 2 with them, had a decent season last year with the Detroit Lions. So congrats to Anquan Boldin. I wish him the best in his future endeavors and in his retirement. Moving on, I don't really talk about fighting news regarding boxing or the UFC, but these were 2 really noteworthy stories that I wanted to talk about. John Jones, after winning that fight, once again, he's been past history of testing positive for performance-enhancing substance, and he was stripped of the light heavyweight title today after testing positive for steroids. Just come on, man, really? And to be honest, he's been suspended so many times over testing positive. This might be it for him, because he might get a couple-year ban, and at this point, he might not come back to fighting. So, and he'd been rumored that he and Brock Lesnar were going to have that huge fight, but that's not looking like that's the case. But, we don't know. I'm not sure yet what his suspension's going to be but we'll see what happens there. This weekend is the big Mayweather-McGregor fight. They both arrived in Las Vegas. Overall, boxing, I mean, this is an anticipated fight, but I expect Mayweather to win just because it's a stone sport, and McGregor's not going to, he's not going to have, Mayweather's going to have that safety net that it is the boxing ring, if this was Mayweather versus McGregor, which in the UFC, which obviously Mayweather would never agree on, but overall, it's probably going to be Mayweather winning, but you know what, it's sports, you never know what happens, but I still think Mayweather's going to win. So that's it for my podcast this week. Thanks everybody for watching. This is probably going to be the final podcast I do before my NFL predictions video. That will not be a podcast. It's just going to be a prediction video. So overall, I think when I do week recaps, I will do that will be a part of the podcast that also. So I will recap that. So we'll see what happens there. I was recently on another Guns N' Roses podcast. I've promoted it on the podcast a couple times. The guy who runs the channel, Sid, it was his birthday yesterday. So in my video, I want to say happy birthday to him, even though I wished him a happy birthday online yesterday. But I want to wish him a happy birthday, and you can check out that Guns N' Roses podcast. I appeared this past Saturday on it, so a couple days ago. It's got a couple thousand views, so check it out if you want, if you're a fan of Guns N' Roses. Follow me on Twitter at BaileyLeasure96. If you like the video, click like. If you like the content on my channel, please subscribe. And comment on your views on this. Do you think it was a good trade by the Cleveland Cavaliers? Do you think the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to get into the postseason? What do you think the Cardinals, is there areas of concern during preseason going into the season? I'd love to hear the feedback. So do you think McGregor is going to win? Or do you think Mayweather is going to win? Do you think John Jones will fight in the UFC again? So leave the comments. I'd love the feedback. So thanks for watching, and I will see you all later.